Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibis, welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. We made it to the weekend. Thank goodness. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, share the video. If you want notifications, you can hit that little bell button and it'll let you know whenever I post new content. Speaking of new content, I have 2 new videos up of Donna Adelson's arrest from 2 different body cams. Speaking of Donna, she has 2 upcoming case management hearings. The first one being January 22nd at 10:30 a.m. The other is February 1st at 2:30 p.m. Both of those are Eastern. I'm going to live stream those hearings on my YouTube. We can watch together. We can talk in the chat. I'm not going to talk during the hearing. We'll just play it in its entirety and then we'll chit chat after. I'm planning to start doing some more lives. Ever since Fruit Loop left, I really haven't done a lot because it's a little weird doing them by myself, but I'm going to start. Music fact of the day. The song Hazy Shade of Winter by the Bangles is actually a cover song. It was originally recorded by Simon and Garfunkel. The Bangles played it live, but never recorded it until the movie Less Than Zero was being made. Somebody associated with that production asked them to record their version of it, and it went on to be a huge hit. It's a great song. Awesome vocals. Last night, STS Podcast had Dan Rashbaum on. I haven't watched the entire interview. I was doing some mom things around the house and hanging out with my kids. But one thing that a viewer asked is, what did Charlie think when Donna got arrested? And he said that Charlie kind of figured it was coming. So it doesn't sound like he was over surprised. Check out that interview. I was able to get Donna's jail files from Miami, and there is not a lot in here. What they did have was a visitor log. And her first visit was 2 days after her arrest on November 15th. All the visits she had were attorney video visits. It shows her property intake form, which we talked about in an earlier episode, but in the file, it shows a photo of the smaller items, which were the 2 hair ties and her driver's license. For Charlie's Leon County records, I did get those. Up on screen here is his arrest warrant. It was filed on April 20th of 2022. He was arrested on the 21st. Up on the screen, I have the transport from Miami to Leon County for him. On April 25th at 11:15 a.m., he was taken into custody by Leon County for transport to Tallahassee, the Adelson's favorite city in the whole world. On April 25th, with that transport, they noted his small property inventory showed he had nothing, and he also had no money. On April 26th, once he got to Leon County, he was placed in segregation due to the current charges. Underneath that transport form on screen, there was a waiver that Charlie signed to leave protective custody. This was on September 20th of 2022. The form says, I do hereby express my desire to be released from protective custody. I do hereby release the Leon County Sheriff's Office from any and all liability or responsibility. I've decided to make this request voluntarily and not from fear, threats, or coercion. Let's look at some notes. These are what inmates can send to staff. It's usually when they need something. So on September 21st of 2022, that's my birthday, Charlie sent a note, I need new ear pods. Only one earpiece is working. Thank you, Charlie. The items were received on October 4th of 22. It ain't like Amazon Prime and the Pokey. You got to wait for your stuff. October 18th of 22, my headphones stopped working. I need a new one. Thank you, Charlie. It was received October 20th. October 23rd of 22, Charlie was charged $10 for a nurse sick call, $6 for a prescription. October 27th of 22, I need an 11 to 12 shoe. My right shoe is torn. Thank you, Charlie. October 31st of 22. By the way, that would be 9 years to the day he first asked Katie if she knew someone who could hurt someone. He writes, my shoe is cutting into my foot. I need another size, 10 or 11. December 21st of 22. Note from prisoner. I broke my left shoe. Can I get one of the old ones or an orange one? The new one hurt my feet. The response from the staff is, what size? Also, the inventory of what Charlie left Leon County to go to the big house. He's still at that transition facility, by the way, hasn't been moved. What did Charlie have that went with him? This was on December 14th at 5:30 a.m. He had black slides, an orange sweatshirt, black shorts, a flash drive, box of legal mail on the floor, an MP3 player, headphones, SD card, clip jam MP3 player, a scan disc 256 gig card mini, a power bank, private attorney clothes, black dress shoes, a white shirt, a blue shirt, white thermal shirt, navy pants, navy dress coat, gray pants, gray dress coat, black belt, black pair of socks, a red and a blue tie. That was it from those two reports. Not a whole lot on those. I'm also trying to get files on other people whose cases we cover. I want to get Caitlin Armstrong's if it's available because I'm curious to see what they did after she tried to run when she was in custody and taken off property to the orthopedic doctor. If there's somebody you want me to try to get the jail records for, let me know in the comments. I'll see what I can do. Some states maybe don't do that, but Florida's very liberal in what they put out. Still also working on some additional phone calls. So we're going to jump back into these wiretaps. What I've done is I've tried to go between the joint trial with Katie and Sigfredo, Katie's retrial, and then Charlie's trial, because sometimes calls are not played at one trial where they were played at another. And then trying to put those all in a chronological order based on what was happening was quite a challenge. So we are going to backtrack just for a moment. This is the same day as the bump. Katie calls Charlie at 6:07 p.m. Charlie tells Katie that he won't get out of the office until 10 o'clock that night. Katie says she's scared, and she says Donna must be looking out. Charlie says that Donna was so shaken up, and she didn't want to talk to him on the phone. Katie asked if she told Harvey so that they can call the cops, and Charlie said that's why she wants to talk to me. He says he doesn't want to do anything just yet. Katie says threatening your mom in broad daylight, giving her an envelope and asking her to give them money. Then Charlie interrupts and says, I'm pretty sure the person, I thought she said your name. That's why I called you up. Katie says, well, what's that got to do with me? Charlie says, well, I don't know, but they said something about me and an ex-girlfriend. Katie said, are you having any problems with any of your ex-girlfriends trying to sabotage you? Charlie said, I'm 99% sure when I was talking to her, she mentioned your name. And if I'm mistaken, then I feel like the biggest fool in town. Katie says, my name's on the paper. And Charlie says, I'm just going to see what it says when I go down there tomorrow. Mom was just shaken up and wanted me to talk to her. I asked, is it something about being sued from the dental office? Is it the IRS? She's like, no. I'm like, did a patient write something stupid on Yelp? And she's like, no. Katie says, well, how do they know your mom's name? And Charlie says they knew her name. They knew who she was, walked right up to her. She said the person wasn't threatening. He was very polite, white male, mid-30s, and made some crazy accusations and very crazy demands. Katie says they just started making demands from her. Charlie says, I don't know. She just told me that. I thought she mentioned your name. Again, I may be mistaken. I thought I'd go talk to her. And then the kids were in the background and they were making noise. So I'm like, I'm coming down tomorrow. So whatever Charlie said, Katie mistook it for Charlie saying that these people needed to talk to her. And Charlie said, no, the kids were in the background. I mean, if I thought it was another girl's name and not your name, Katie says, yeah, I have no problem with you whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe you have a crazy ex-girlfriend. Charlie says, yeah, who goes to someone's parents? Except I keep running through my head is here I think it's just some sicko from the newspaper working people up. The only reason is this. If it involved me, whoever it is would have come to me. You know what I mean? Katie says, yeah, but harassing your mom, that's not cool. Charlie said, I wish I knew more, but the kids were in the background. It's like she could either talk to me. And I said, I'm coming down tomorrow and we're going to have her make a copy of the paper and take a look at it. Katie says, you shouldn't let something like that linger. Is she going to be in a safe place? Charlie says, well, they have a very safe building, but this person came up to her on the street. Charlie talks about there being cops all over the place in that area. So it's crazy that someone would just walk up. Someone knew who she was, what time she would be there. Katie says, I know you have a safe place, but Charlie says, Katie, if someone wants to find you, they find you. Doesn't matter who you are. I don't know exactly what it says. It's more of a demand. I'm going to find out tomorrow. I thought my mom said the letter mentioned your name, but the weird thing that's been running through my head is you're my ex. Why wouldn't the person just come find me and talk to me? I'm easy to find. Why deal with my mom if it's one of my exes? I don't know where she fits into all this. Katie tells Charlie that he's scaring her. Listen to what Charlie says here. It's interesting. He said, I've got 10,000 exes and baby mama's mamas. Huh. Are there other Adelsons running around we don't know about? Katie says, yeah, but for someone to come up to your mom in broad daylight, that's scary. Charlie says, yeah, anytime strangers do that is scary. Katie says, you should talk to your mama and make sure she's okay. Charlie said she's fine. She was just startled. He said it's hard to get her on the phone because of the kids. And he says that's why he would rather go see her in person. But Katie says, try to talk to her tonight. Go see her. Charlie says it's hard to talk on the phone. And he wouldn't get there till after 11 anyway. Also, he doesn't know if Donna wants to tell Harvey. And he said that's why he thinks she wants to talk to him first. He tells Katie he'll let her know if it mentions her name. And Katie says, yeah, I mean, we have a good relationship. So that call ends April 20th, 2016. This is the day after the bump, 10:38 a.m. Charlie and Katie. Katie and Charlie joke around in Spanish at first. Charlie says that he's coming into Miami around noon. He'll hang out a bit and then he'll give her a shout and maybe they could grab a beer. He thinks he'll be headed back around 2:30 or 3. He asked her what time she could hang out. She said she's available whenever he needs her. Then they talk about renting a cottage and Charlie asks if she's going down with him. It's kind of hard to follow, but it sounds like he's arranging for her to stay somewhere. She mentions a place that was expensive that she stayed at one time. Charlie says, worst case scenario, get something there and it's on me. Prosecutor Kappelman at the joint trial says he mentions he's going to meet with Donna to get more information. That meeting occurred the same day, April 20th, maybe between 11 and 12, behind the condominium at a restaurant on the water. I have a photo of this up on the screen. The investigator says they tried to capture the conversation between Donna and Charlie. They did have a surveillance team there. They had 2 pieces of equipment on their person and they tried to get close to them, but Donna and Charlie set off by themselves. They did get this photograph, but no audio. Later that day, after Donna and Charlie meet at 3:14, Charlie calls Katie. They're trying to meet up. Charlie tells her he's looking at a CVS right now, so Katie starts to give him directions. They're meeting outside her place of employment. At first, they go into Charlie's car, then into Dolce Vita. We've covered that on the last episode. At the joint trial, they play some calls between Katie and Sigfredo. I mean, these two are yelling at each other. In one call, she gives Sigfredo the number for the undercover cop that was on the paper. I'm going to put a graphic up on the screen here. What this is, these are code words that investigators were able to assume what the meanings were. April 21st, Katie calls Sigfredo. They talk and they argue about their relationship. $65.70 is code for part of the number that was written on that paper. Katie is trying to get Sigfredo to call that number, but she's doing it in a way where she's trying to talk in code and it is not registering for Sigfredo at all. She says that their son's school clothes needs to be paid off and she's giving him the amount of $65.70. And Sigfredo's like, you can't pay it? I got to pay it? I'm trying to get a credit card right now. The next call, Charlie and Katie talk. Katie asks if he's heard from those people. Charlie says, I'll put another call into them. And Katie says, no, don't worry about it. She says she doesn't think that would be a good investment. So on the little graphic here, investment or properties refers to paying the undercover cop. Charlie says, oh, I see what you're saying. Katie said she was asking him, who I assumed to be Sigfredo, if he thought that would be a good investment. And he said, no, that's stupid. Use your head. She told Sigfredo, thanks for the advice. And also, he's going to look into a couple of things or a couple of properties and see what's going on. Charlie says you can't just jump into a property you don't even know. Katie wants to know how good the security is going to be. Is it going to be a first and last security, or is there going to be a lot more into it? She says she's trying to do the research for that. Charlie says, find out, because when these properties come up, they just announce it to everyone. You can't just have it. Katie says she feels like it was posted incorrectly. Some people bite, some people don't. She said, you throw a fish out there and let's see who bites. She says it's like fishing. On the graph here, the code word for fishing is bluffing. It's like fishing. You throw chum out, they're all going to come out. And Charlie says, Yeah, you throw chum out and a bunch of fish come up and jump on it. Katie says it was too high of a price and unaffordable. And Charlie says way too high of a price, right? Charlie says real estate's a great profession. So they talk in code. Charlie asks if he, who I think to be Sigfredo, was in shock that that listing came up. Katie said, of course, especially for that amount. She says they have $1 million houses over here. Charlie says, I'm not interested in buying that property. It's like a duplex. It just becomes a headache for life. It doesn't stop. They go back and forth about this for a while. Katie says that's why she does background checks first and gets things clarified. She said she's made a few phone calls that night to see if this was a good lead. There is another bump. A letter mailed to Harvey and Donna's condo. It was received on the 25th. On the screen here, on top is the envelope it was sent. It just says Adelson with their address. It says, my phone is not ringing, so you don't care about Tato and what he did for you. He knows he's effed, and soon so will you. So the next call is between Donna and Charlie. Donna says, as long as you tell me this is being taken care of. And Charlie says, as best I know it's being taken care of, but I know you get yourself all worked up and crazy and it has to stop. Donna says, okay, well, I did have to talk to you, didn't I? Charlie said, is someone messing around and fishing? People don't write letters, show their faces. People don't give you a cell phone number, put something in the mail. It's not done like that. It's a huge mistake. Later on, Charlie calls Donna and says he's running late and getting gas. He says he'll be at the office in Weston, and if Dad wants to meet him, he can. She asked Charlie if he's going to be late. Charlie said he's always happy to see Dad if he wants to go grab dinner. He tells Donna he saw police everywhere writing tickets and tells her to be careful. He said he thinks that's what it is without a question for multiple reasons. So police probably weren't actually writing tickets. It was his way of saying that he thinks this is an undercover operation or a sting. Donna says, really? Charlie says multiple reasons. He again says, if Dad wants to see me and grab a bite, that's cool. Donna said, you had those cases at the office you wanted to talk to him about. Charlie repeats, if Dad wants to go get dinner, I'm happy to do so. Donna says, it sounds like a great plan. Give him a heads up and maybe he'll come and go out to grab a bite with you. Charlie said he wouldn't leave South Beach until after 7 because traffic is horrible. Donna asks if he knows what time he's going to get out, and Charlie says not too late. He said if Harvey comes over at 8, that would be fine. Donna says that's perfect because Wendy and some of the other moms from one of the boys' classes are taking the teacher out for dinner. It was her birthday. Wendy asked Donna if she could bring the boys to Wendy's house and put them to sleep because she's going straight from work and probably would be gone a while. Charlie says to tell Harvey to leave Miami at 7:30. Donna says, okay, sounds good. The next call is Charlie calling Harvey. He tells Harvey he would leave at 7:30, but not before. He also asks if Donna's coming to dinner. Harvey explains what we just talked about with Wendy going out. Charlie tells him if he gets there before him to get a table. The audio at the sushi restaurant is really hard to hear. There are times where Charlie whispers, but I did find a partial transcript online. So let's dive into what we could hear on that recording. They're also videotaping that through a bag. You can see glimpses of Charlie and Harvey. Charlie says it's a very smart thing to do to throw a smoke grenade in a room and see how everybody runs. I hope they find whoever did it. Harvey says, yeah. Charlie says you can say it all day long. I can even tell you it sounds like he says something about Giant Stadium. He says that's it. All day long, it's not done like that. The funny thing is, now at this point, he leans over and whispers in Harvey's ear, and then you hear wouldn't go. Charlie looks over in the direction of the agents, and then he whispers to Harvey. Charlie says they wouldn't want to talk to Wendy, so you're the next to talk to. I know they wouldn't talk to her. I was surprised they didn't come to me. One or the other. But the woman is usually the weaker choice. You know, the one that's going to give in. So it is what it is. Harvey says, that's what Katie agreed with you. Charlie says, yeah, that's where you're at. The thing is, I actually think then he says, you knew at some point. Harvey says, oh yeah, somebody they had to reach out, had to do something. Harvey says, yeah. Charlie says they had to send. Listen, if simply asks you a question, yes or no, someone's just going to say no. Harvey says, yeah. So there has to be some kind of tactic to come into the introduction. Harvey says that makes sense. It really does. I don't think they were that smart. Charlie says, hey, you're going to say, listen, if 50% of people want to cooperate, why would you not? It's the attitude of, all right, I'll pay you to make it go away, but that's utter nonsense. Anyway, you have these people's security deposits, so they're not going anywhere. Harvey says, no way in hell, Charlie. Charlie then says, I think there's a recorder in that bag. Harvey asks, are they allowed to do that? Charlie says, not without a warrant. Joke's on you, Charlie. Charlie says, I'll talk to you outside about it. It was just a really hard conversation to follow. That's all I could make out between the transcript and then just listening on my own. But at the joint trial, prosecutor Kappelman says, after the recording, in terms of an undercover operation, what does the term to get made mean? The witness answers that they figure out that this is an undercover police officer. The next call is Charlie calling Katie. This is on April 25th of 16 at 7:04 p.m. Charlie tells Katie where he is. He's in South Beach, and she says that's far. Charlie said he had been talking to his parents about his day. He says, do me this one favor and come down here, okay? Katie asks if everything's okay. Charlie says, I just want you to come down here so I can see you. He tells her the cross street of where he is. Katie asks if it could be anywhere else. Charlie says, I could try to find you, but we got to drive, park, and I'd just rather you come here. Katie said it's kind of stupid for her to come all the way down there. So Charlie says to head that way, and then he'll get in his car and meet her somewhere in 15 minutes. He said he still needs to talk to his parents for another 5 minutes. Start heading south. At 7:33 p.m., Katie calls Charlie and tells where she is. They meet up, and the meeting was unable to be listened to by law enforcement. It was kind of a last minute. Also, they were communicating through WhatsApp, and law enforcement explains they can't capture the text, so they couldn't get everything they needed together in time. They bring in some text messages between Katie and Sigfredo. He says, whatever is going on with you and your homie is your business. Work that crap out. Don't text me. On the 26th, there is a call between Charlie and Donna. Before we get into this next part, I was just thinking about Charlie and how I think a lot of times when he's on the phone with his mom, he is trying to convince himself that everything is okay just as much as he's trying to convince her. I think repeating himself is kind of like if I say it enough, it'll manifest and it will become true. Because really, Charlie's telling Donna to calm down, but Charlie's the one who's definitely more hyper on the phone. So, this conversation, Charlie asks what's going on, and Donna says not a whole lot, just straightening out things in the house. Vicky sent me the hours, so I'm working on everybody's salaries for tomorrow. Other than that, everything's good. What about you? Charlie asks, do you feel better after what I told you last night? And Donna says significantly. Charlie says it makes sense, 1,000% sense. So I think here he had that dinner with Harvey the night before at the sushi restaurant where, I mean, they correctly assume that this is the police. This is more undercover than it is actually a gang member. But at the same time, he's not 100% convinced because he keeps going on and on and on about it. Donna says, I know it does. Charlie says, I feel that's what it is. No, that's what it is. Donna asks, do you think those sort of things we get taken care of? And Charlie says, oh, yeah. Charlie says, someone gets to work the appointment today. I mean, it's not like at 9 a.m. It's like I've got a conference call. I've got to call the patient. Patient is a code word for the undercover. But I can tell you something. The more I think about it too, when someone writes, you don't care, you know what it sounds like? A girl. Donna says, yeah, that's girls. Charlie says, you don't care. That's exactly how they sound. You don't care. Donna asks if he's ever gotten a note from a girl or a girl saying to you, you don't care. Charlie says, that's the first thing they say. You don't care. Well, guess what? I don't care about anyone I've never met. Donna says, that's true. So Charlie says, so that's what it was. It's like a mediation when someone comes in and they're like, oh, I'm just doing my job. That explains it all. Donna says, I think so too. Charlie says, one, they weren't the same person without a doubt. I mean, listen, I actually do know how these things are done. And that was the same thing I said. It's not done like this. Donna says, yeah, right. That's what you explained. So Charlie says it's like 48 hours. They're talking about setting a deadline for a real extortion. And Donna says, yeah, just enough time. Charlie says, I have to take a call. And he says he'll call back. So he does. And he asks about dad taking the day off. And Donna said he didn't feel well. He didn't go to bed until 5:30 in the morning. I got up at 6:30 and he took one look at me and said, I can't. I said, no problem. And he told the girls he didn't feel well. His patients are being seen Wednesday and Thursday. He couldn't remember a night that he didn't go to sleep. And he said, I can't function like this. He had a root canal to do. And Charlie said, "That's fine. Did he tell you what I told him yesterday? Does he agree?" Donna says, "Yeah, it sounds like it'll be fine." Charlie says, "It's just that, Mom, 1,000%. I know. What you worry about is when you don't know. It's who's doing something." And Donna said, "It sounds like this company usually fixes those bridges pretty quickly. So they should be." Charlie interrupts, Mom. Donna says, "Yes." He says, "Listen to me. Stop with the effing nonsense because I really don't want to come down there anymore. I need to distance myself from." Donna says, "Right." And Charlie says, "Just hear me out. Listen to me." Donna says, "I am." Charlie says, "If you don't know who the person is, it's a much bigger problem. If you know who it is, it's very, very easy, okay? I mean, you guys are notorious for always getting worked up over everything throughout as long as I've known you. It's always been everything is a big deal. Got to get worked up about everything. Everything is a huge deal. And I'm just saying this is no different. I'm just telling you, like, stop because it's not anything more than nonsense." And Donna says, "Okay." Charlie says, "I'm just saying you worry." And Donna says, "Okay, well." So Charlie interrupts, "You could worry about everything. I mean, listen, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything to anybody. Somebody is fishing. Let them fish. They know too that you don't have nothing to do with anything. So it's like me going to my next door neighbor and saying, 'Hey, I know you're whatever.' They look at me like I have three heads, you know?" That's pretty much the impression, and that's the appropriate impression because if someone talks to you about something you don't know what they're talking about, you go, "I don't know what you're talking about." So if somebody asks somebody to talk to you and told them you didn't know what they're talking about, you're basically lost because that's the truth. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know something, you don't know something like this. There's not much you can do to help that person out, unfortunately, but it's not like you do know the person you're not helping. It's like someone coming to talk to me about someone I don't know. Don't you get worked up. It's not done like that. Donna says, "The only thing, honey, as long as you tell me that this is being taken care of, I'm fine." Charlie says, "Mom, it's being taken care of the best that I know it's being taken care of, but you get yourself all worked up and all effing crazy, and it has to stop." Donna says, "Okay, well, I just had to talk to you, didn't I? I mean, wasn't that important that I contact you?" Charlie says, "No, but you were like, 'Dad's not going to work today.' I mean," and Donna said, "He said he was after we spoke last night, and then he never went to bed. See, that was the problem." Charlie says, "Oh, as soon as you get yourselves worked up over everything." Donna says, I know. Charlie says, "I'm just saying, you're getting a little better in time as you had him all worked up." Donna says, I'm trying. I'm not a kid. I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying." And Charlie says, "I mean, you probably watch too many movies." Donna says, "Probably." Charlie says, "It's not like we'll get one of them and then the other will just start paying. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It doesn't work like that." Donna's like, "Okay, I know. You told me all this yesterday. I know I understand what you're saying, but it's not like, there's nothing to be concerned about." Charlie says, "No, I mean, there really isn't. If someone wants to bother you with nonsense or threats, it's not uncommon. When you get nonsense and threats, I mean, electronics are extremely traceable. And the other thing is this, I'll let you in on a little secret. Here comes Captain Obvious, y'all. If someone doesn't want you to know what they look like, they'll wear a hat. They'll wear glasses. They put on a beard. For $5 at a costume store, you can buy an Abraham Lincoln beard and you'd put that on, wear a hat and glasses like everybody else on South Beach because it's really sunny outside. So if someone were to come over wearing a hat and glasses to talk to you, you can see three-quarters of their face and they'd walk around with a big floppy hat and glasses and come by. Like, no, that's not how it's done." Donna's like, "Yeah, okay." Charlie says, "No." Donna says, "Yeah, okay, no, that's," and then Charlie interrupts and says, "It's either complete nonsense, which it is, but if somebody asks someone, 'Can you go there and tell them something?' And that's basically what he did. I'll go there and I'll tell them something like it's done. It was done like that. Look, you didn't do anything to whoever these people are. They're not going through the amount of planning and stress and logistics and risk because something generally has happened. I mean, like even the best laid plans," and Donna interrupts. "Of course you know that." Charlie says, "I mean, even the best laid plans, you could have, there could have been an off duty officer taking his dog for a walk, just happened to come around the corner just as something happens to happen. Or somebody goes to do something and they turn around and they tear their knee." So Donna's like, "Okay." Charlie says, "They're laying on the floor with a torn ACL. There's a lot of risk when somebody does something and a million and one things." Donna says, "Uh huh." Charlie says, "So to do that, what's the reason?" There is no reason, and that's why it's nothing to worry about, and it's being looked into. Donna says, look, that's all I wanted to know. Charlie says, trust me, you'll probably get a heart attack from things before that happens to you. Donna says, okay. Charlie says, that's probably more likely. And Donna's like, okay, Charlie. Charlie says, I can't and then Donna interrupts and says, I know, I know, I know. I don't. Believe me, I don't want you to. I'll let you know if there's something very important that I need to tell you. And I thought this was important enough that I needed to speak with you. Charlie says, I spent my whole effing night down there last night. I get it. Donna says, believe me, I know. I know. I want you to go home and have some peace tonight. So please just, Charlie interrupts. No, I was really planning on going down there and talking to you. I'm just saying it's utter nonsense. And I can tell you this when you think about it. Donna says, it's great. It's great. Charlie says, one of the first things somebody says is, you don't care. That's a girl writing, you don't care. Donna says, yeah, I didn't even honestly remember what it was, but Charlie says, the first thing you said was, you don't care. Donna says, really? Okay. Charlie says, you obviously don't care about how to. That means that's a girl's writing. Donna says, okay, Charlie. He goes on to repeat, people don't write letters, show faces, somebody's messing around, they're fishing. Donna's like, I got you, Charlie. I got you. Charlie says, you have to understand, if somebody was going to do something, nobody would show their faces. Nobody would give you a cell phone number. Write something and put it in the mail. Each one of those things is a huge mistake into itself. When somebody gives you a visit, you won't be able to identify their face, and you'll be given 48 hours. That's a visit, not someone hiding out in the open. Not in a million years. That's not how it's done. So let me get back to work. I'm busy here. Donna says, go ahead then. Charlie says, and you've got to stop with the nonsense, okay? Donna says, I got it. I got it. Charlie goes on to talk about how they're not laying the law down with one of the boys, saying that he runs the show, and you tell him not to do something and you're jumping on him. Like, she can't lay the law down with anybody. She can't let him know, if you do it again, you're going to get hit. You know what I'm saying? Donna says, I'm actually going to have that conversation tonight. So that was all for that call. Just very interesting how Charlie just is going on, repeating the same things as he always does. And you almost get the sense in this call that Donna's frustrated with Charlie. Clearly, this is affecting Harvey in a big way once this letter is sent to their condo, which also lets us know Harvey knows what's up. And Charlie, in trying to convince them everything is okay, is really just making her worse, I think. You could tell she was kind of ready to get off the phone with him in this conversation. So on the 26th, there's a call from Katie to Charlie. Katie says, I don't know. I'm calling both numbers and nobody is picking up. And I can set up with the realtor and show the property. Charlie said it sounded like a really good client if they're going to rent the place. I actually have the number at home. Katie said she needs it. And Charlie says he'll be home in 2 hours. Then he can get it, and hopefully they haven't looked at other properties yet. Katie asks if there's a way he can get the number before he gets off work. Charlie says, let me see. He said he has it on his desk at home, but he says let him check and see if the number is somewhere else. He'll call her back. So who does he call? Donna. Charlie asks if she remembers the number written on the paper the other day because he has it at home. She says she doesn't. Charlie said someone called me asking for it because they thought they remembered it, but evidently they can't remember it at all. He said he's going to have to get it. It's at his house, so don't worry about it. He also asked if she wrote the number down. She says, no, I gave you the paper. That was the end of it. He calls Katie back. He says that he doesn't have the number and he can't get it until he gets home. Katie kind of sounds disappointed. Charlie said, that's why I told you to write the number down. Katie said, I'm really good at memorizing stuff. Oh, apparently not. But she said, I do this all day. I had thousands of phone numbers on my phone. Charlie says, well, that's why you got to put it in your contact list so you don't lose it. She says she can't because one day someone wants to look at property and another day they're working with someone else. Katie asks if he remembers, and Charlie says, come on. At my age, I'm lucky if I remember what I had for breakfast. He said the only way he remembers is because he eats the same thing every day. He talks to somebody at the dentist office about when his next patient is, and then he says, I'm done? Well, why didn't someone tell me? And he says, beautiful. I'll get out of here before traffic hits. Then he tells Katie, I can get the number in 30 minutes. There is a call at 5:35 p.m. on the 26th between Katie and Sigfredo. She gives him the number. She says the listing for the place and asks if he can call her back, and he says absolutely. So Sigfredo says he tried, but the prosecution at the joint trial asked if anyone had called the number. And the investigator said no. April 27th, 10:42 a.m., Katie to Charlie. Somebody had picked up the phone when Charlie had tried to call Katie earlier, and they told Charlie she was in the bathroom, and Charlie thought it was code for something. He asked if she's going to the Keys this weekend, and Katie doesn't think so. Charlie said, if you were, I was going to tell you to come by tomorrow. I'd give you the code to my garage, and I would leave something for you. He said I was going to leave a coupon. And then he said a gift card you could use at any hotel. I was thinking if you did want to go away for the weekend, it might be nice to have a gift card. Charlie says, I think mama needs a vacation with daddy. Go on a vacation, leave the kids at home, have a cocktail, call it a day. He says to let him know if she wants to do a little fishing with him. And she says, I don't know. He says, figure it out. But if I were you, I'd go get some fish and have a cocktail. That fixes everything. She says, hallelujah. Charlie says something about finding Jesus. And she says, when you find him, tell him to take care of me, okay? Charlie says, I found him and I got excited the other day, but it was Jesus. She tells him to Google Beyonce's Lemonade, and Charlie says he has hot sauce in his bed. I don't know what that's code for, but it does not sound pleasant. April 27th, 12:25, Donna to Charlie. By the way, Wendy was the one that authenticated Donna's voice on these calls. So if you're watching the trial, somebody off camera says, did he say Wendy? Donna says the answer's no. Dad said he doesn't want them, but thank you for the offer. That was very sweet. Charlie kind of mumbles something, and Donna says, I just think he doesn't feel like going. Charlie asks if Harvey's still upset about everything, and Donna says he's not having the best day. Charlie asks if something else happened, and she said, no, just understand, and maybe another time, just not right now. Charlie says, all right, everything's being taken care of. So, they actually called the person and nobody picked up. Donna says, really? Charlie says, yes, totally nothing besides voicemail, but nobody picked up and they've tried a couple of times. I wouldn't worry at all. I'd worry about other things, okay? You got to find something new to worry about. Donna says, nah, I don't want to, believe me. Charlie says, I know you can do it with your free time. Then he says, you never let yourself have free time. She said she missed Administrative Professionals Day and had to rush out to get a cake for Erica. She said she's got a big sty on her eye and had to get drops. Donna says she's really trying not to worry, and Charlie says you've done nothing wrong, and because of that, you have nothing to worry about. Someone's fishing and someone wants to try and make some money because they're struggling. And that'll never amount to nothing. You throw a fishing line out there and you see if you can catch something. Charlie says, I understand why they're doing it, but it doesn't make it right. But I wouldn't be worried. After he says this a few times, Donna's like, I got it, Charlie. He says, don't sit around and drive yourself to the point to where you get sick. He said she, meaning Katie, tried to call the number and they didn't pick up. He reminds Donna that she lives in a safe area and it's a high risk area to do anything. So Charlie's just rambling on about her being safe. And Donna's like, You can tell she's just not convinced. Back to the call. Charlie says, you're not important. And Donna said, that would be great. I'd like to not be important. He says there's undercover police. There's security on bikes that have radios. Everyone on the planet has a cell phone, and there are security cameras all over that area. And you don't know if the homeless guy has a radio in his ear and is a cop. He said nothing ever happens there. You ever notice you never hear anything or see anything happen there? There's a ton of billionaires, rich people, celebrities. They don't want anything to happen there. Charlie says, honestly, he's had enough of everything. And he says he feels bad that she wants to worry herself to the point that she might get sick. But he says something about there's a higher chance that Lincoln loses his eyeball. And then he says something I can't understand. And Donna just says, I don't worry out of the blue. Charlie says, I understand that, but they've been addressed. Kind of a cluster with these calls, to be honest. I mean, it's repetitive, but I like to do these just by the transcripts because it just shows these rapid fire calls between parties and how Charlie's trying to calm everybody down. But really, I think he's trying to self-soothe himself. The more he talks about it, it's fine. It's fine. I think maybe that's kind of like sucking his thumb. The next episode will be the next bump because, these investigators just kept sticking their finger in that wound and wiggling it around and watching them squirm. And we're all here for it, right? Okay, guys, that's it for today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.